uh, started officially, so I think other people are going to join us. So, so today's topic will be on imposter syndrome in academia. As we know, this is a very crucial and important discussion or topic because it affects a lot of people, not only the students, it affects researchers, even people working in government institutes. It also affects a lot of people's. Okay, people are also joining now. So this is just like a sense, like a feelings or like a self-thought that came inside, like letting someone to be thinking like I'm not good enough, something like that, or something like it affects a lot of people. It's also like personally as me, I've experienced this imposter syndrome during my graduate studies because it feel like I'm not good enough to do this, something like that. And I also like as Sam told us, we don't have to keep looking forward. We have to look back to thank God because when we start comparing ourselves to others, we start to have this nostalgic feeling like we are not good enough, something like that. So I think some people are in the waiting room. Okay. So I as for this topic, aside the discussion, it's also like a part of like sorry, some people are in the waiting room. I don't know you. Dr. Zainab.
I'm
Yeah.
adding them. I'm adding them later.
All right. So aside the discussion for this webinar, it's also a form of networking so that we can know ourselves better than this. So I'll try to give other participants some their chance so that we can just do like a brief introduction of ourselves, our names, maybe where we are studying or where we are working and where we are joining the call from today. So let me start from my own hand. So George, please let's be very brief in short. So my name is Ajadi Sodiq. I'm a graduate student at the University of Manchester. Thank you. So I'll just okay. I think you can unmute yourself and just like give us like a brief introduction. Thank you so much. Sister Abiba Togunide, brother Alade Abdurrashid, Mr. Agbenru Abdulbasit. Please, you can unmute yourself and just give us a brief introduction of yourself. Mr. Usman Idowu. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Usman Abiodun Idowu. I am a graduate of LAUTECH Obumosho. I hold a bachelor's degree in microbiology, the same department as Professor Lateef Agbaje.
Mashallah.
So I currently am a graduate trainee at Harvard Brands, Lagos State, Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. Please, you can unmute brother Abdullah Jamiu, sister Abibat, if you are there. Brother Yusuf Adeniyi, Dr. Yusuf Kewuyemi. Okay. Please, you can just unmute yourself. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Abdulbasit is my name.
Okay.
A graduate of Agric Economics from LAUTECH University of Technology, Obumosho.
Mashallah.
I currently work
Okay,
with Lagos State Government.
Lagos, Barakallahu fikum. So, okay.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm Abibat Muswaya Oguride, a graduate of Fisheries and Aquaculture Technology from Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa. I work with an NGO in Abuja, Abundance of Hope Initiative. Thank you.
Mashallah.
Dr. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, my name is Adeni Yusuf Adeshola, a graduate of Ladoke Akintala University of Technology from the Department of Pure and Applied Physics. Presently, I work with China International Telecommunication Construction Corporation as the project coordinator, and I'm glad the lecturer for today's topic is my mentor. So I'm glad to be here.
Barakallah. Okay. So sorry because we don't have much time, so I think we can do that in the chat box. So please, you can just like do a brief introduction of yourself, your name, maybe your study or where you're currently working and something like that, so that we can engage with others, we can network beyond this webinar. Thank you so much. So before giving the floor to Prof, I will just do a brief introduction about Prof. Prof, please forgive me of my any place I made a mistake, because I just tried to get this information online. So good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today's webinar is about imposter syndrome in academia, as you said earlier, which is a very important topic. So our guest, our speaker today is Professor Lateef Agbaje. Professor Lateef Agbaje is a distinguished scholar and lecturer at the LAUTECH Akintola University, Ogbomoso, where he earned his bachelor, master's, and PhD at LAUTECH in pure and applied biology with his first degree. Professor Lateef Agbaje has been a full professor for more than a decade, and he has been lecturer for over 25 years with teaching, supervision, and mentorship experience. So we can know that this is a person that is capable to give justice to today's webinar, to the topic at hand. So, inshallah, Professor is he currently serves as the head of nanotechnology research group at LAUTECH, which has been established since 2014. Prof has traveled to many countries, many countries for international conferences to deliver speech, lectures, and other stuff regarding academia. So let's try to get settled and sit down. If you can grab a cup of coffee, tea, because it's cold here. So to enjoy and listen and learn from today's webinar. Naam, Jazakallah khairan. So please, if you have any question, we can signify by raising our hands with the emoji there, or we can write in the chat box. I'm going to keep my eye on that and monitor it. Jazakallah khairan. So Prof, bismillah, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, I'm trying to share my slide.
All right.
You will please pardon us for if you have some break in transmission.
No problem, sir.
So first and foremost, let me thank you, the Muslims and the research and academia, I think.
Yes,
for inviting me to make this presentation. And I must first and foremost apologize to one of my former students, Usman Idowu. I'm quite aware that he contacted me some time ago, but I was very, 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 very busy. But some few weeks back, when Professor Adeni, mentioned it to me again and things like that, I just say, okay, let me try and see what I can do. And he gave me the topic. Well, the topic is imposter syndrome in academia. And I've tried to modify the topic a bit by saying that imposter syndrome in academia, unmasking the masquerade. And that is to the extent of looking at the best way I can address the topic. And I've gone a little bit further to dissect the topic by looking at the components of the topic in a disjointed manner anyway. Who is an imposter? Then before we now talk about imposter syndrome, which is a concept, which is a kind of a disorder, psychological disorder, if we want to call it like that. And from the moderator, what he said earlier on, that this thing affects everyone. And one way or the other, one will have suffered from it. There is no way. And that informs the present slide that I'm showing. I'm of the opinion that a lot of us here are Yoruba. wọ́n ní tọmọdé bá ṣubú àwò wájú, bàgbàlagbà bá ṣubú àwòjú wẹ̀yìn, àwò nǹkan tó gbóhùn ṣubú. So when we look back, we can actually look at the pitfalls, and from there we can make an amendment, and we can also advise those that are coming behind us. So as I said, I first look at imposter because the two have things in common. And I want you to pardon me if I strayed off the topic a little bit. Well, we all know when you say somebody is an imposter, it's somebody that pretends. It's someone that pretends what he or she is not. It's someone that is trying to deceive others and probably get a fraudulent gain from such an act. And when we look at our country, Nigeria, except we want to deceive ourselves, this is very, very rampant in our national life. We all knew what happened in the last few weeks, where a certain minister presented, at least from what we have been able to get from the public domain, that after all, he did not graduate from University of Nigeria in Nsukka. And he has been using that certificate for 40 years and climbed to the level of being a minister of science and technology in the country. When we now look at imposter syndrome, it's a kind of the opposite. It's an opposite because here is an individual that has competence, but you have a feeling of querying your competence, your self-capability at doing things. And most times you want to believe, you want to pass a verdict on yourself that am I not a fraud? Am I not a failure? Am I sure that I'm capable of doing this thing? It's a kind of a extreme self-examination. And as Muslims, the very first thing that we need to know that there's nothing in the aspect of a life that Islam has not touched. And in most cases, when you look at extremes of things, you will see Islam maintaining a middle course, taking into cognizance the nature of mankind. So we have so many surah in the Quran. I'm not an alpha, but I've gone ahead to look at all of this, that Islam allows France at deception. So that is imposter. You don't claim what you are not. You do not lie. When you do that to your own peril. Also, Allah knows that we can make mistakes and we are not perfect after all. So he also frowns at excessive self-blame because there are certain things that are beyond the reach of our capabilities as a human beings. So we should not go to the extreme of blaming ourselves, because when you do so, there will be a lot of misconceptions and it can affect the state of health and bring about a lot of towards things. I hope I'm audible, please.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes.
The two things that I've briefly mentioned, whether you talk of imposter, deception, let me just say deception, and whether you talk of imposter syndrome, they affect all human beings, wherever you find them, no matter their occupation, no matter what they do, they affect all of them. But here we are talking about academics. Academics itself imposes a good number of constraints. Because when you say you are in academia, there are certain expectations. For instance, you have to show that you are brilliant. You have wealth of knowledge. You must be able to show that you can generate original thoughts about any issue. There are complex issues. People look forward to you as a scholar to provide solutions. Also, in doing this, we pursued academic degrees, which I know all of us have done, or maybe we are still doing. And you have to do that within the record time, particularly when you talk of postgraduate. When you talk of undergraduate, it's simpler because maybe you have 3 years or 4 years, you pass all your courses, you will go. But when it comes to postgraduate, you have some other things, particularly when it comes to project execution, publications, and all of that. And you have this concept of publish or perish syndrome, because that is the basic way of determining your level of a scholarship. What have you pushed forward in terms of adding to the body of existing knowledge? So it's either you publish or you perish. So it's a toga, and it's a syndrome that affects everyone. Also, when you move on, for some of us like this, we also want to be seeking research grants, which I know is also applicable to many of us that we are outside the country. Without research grants, you may not be able to do any meaningful project. And if you're unable to do that, your job may be on the line. So you have to be looking for people that will put money on grant. You also have to build your academic profile. When we started, I always tell my students and some of my younger colleagues, when we started, what we met on grant was just publish within Nigeria or outside Nigeria. We call it offshore or offshore. We call it onshore or offshore. But today, it has gone beyond that. You have accessibility, you have metrics. When you are publishing, people that do not know you, people that are not concerned about where you are located, they are collecting data on what you have done. And you have a lot of metrics that are coming up today. So when you just mention somebody's name, you don't need to be going anywhere. Just type it on Google. If the person has an account on Google Scholar, it will bring it out. And you say, okay, this is what the number of people that this person has published. Oh, this person has not published anything in the last 2, 3, 5 years. Oh, this is the number of citations that this person has, things like that. And from there, you try to size up like the kind of a language that we have in Nigeria, to size up that kind of scholars. The pursuit of career progression, and the race for academic leadership. You want to become dean, you want to become head of department, you want to become head of institutions and all of that. And all these things can be adversely affected by the way we are trained. For instance, if you already have a weak knowledge, if your background is a bit weak, then you will have a problem. You have a problem. It will reflect. If you are the type that is lazy, you are not conscious of time, you procrastinate, all of these things will affect your progress. If you don't have a focus, if you have a weak mentoring, you don't have people that you look up to that can provide leadership for you, it may be difficult. If you have weak research infrastructure support, like we have in Nigeria, and that is the reason why in Nigeria you see somebody pursuing PhD for the next 10 years. The infrastructure may not be there, particularly for those of us in the science-based disciplines, where you don't have equipment. You'll be running from one laboratory, from one town to another town, from one university to another university. So all of this, the totality of all of this can spiral into imposter syndrome, that you begin to query yourself. Because when you are on a program, ordinarily PhD is supposed to take minimum of 3 years, maybe 4 years. But on the 60 years, 70 years, you don't even know where you are going. Then you begin to doubt yourself, your capabilities. So we have talked about a deception. We also know that that deception also affects a lot of things in our academic programs, because when somebody has imposter syndrome, the person may try to address it. If the person has a guardian that can identify that, no, you can do this thing. It's only that you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to do this, and the self-confidence will come back. Otherwise, the person may be looking for ways to survive it. And that is why you now see people forging documents, forging data, research and data. manipulating research results, engaging in plagiarism, AI abuse. You now see a whole paper written by AI. It is because the person knew or the person doubts his or her capabilities at developing that paper. So you now say, okay, I have something that can do it for me. Let me just go ahead. So there can be that can engage in such practices. Predatory publishing, backyard publishing, digital fraud, and paper mills. I know that many of us, we are familiar with all of this. Now, the consequences of all of this, if one takes that route, is that we should know that all of this, they constitute very grave academic offenses. They are very grave academic offenses that if one is caught, it can lead to dismissal. If it is a student that is caught, and you will have heard a lot of that, particularly in the Western world, the academics can be dismissed. If you have published a paper and it's based on falsehood, or one way of one manipulation or the other, there can be retraction of published works. In some cases, can lead to withdrawal certificates. If there is every grant, enough grant to show that the data on which the thesis were based were fraudulent, there can be withdrawal certificates, degrees, and honors. Now, at the end of it, what happens to that person? Loss of integrity. The person loses integrity. And it's not only about that individual. It's also about the institution associated with the individual and the nation. So it brings a diminished reputation, about the institution, about the individual. It lowers the self-esteem, and in extreme cases, it can lead to criminal prosecution. So one will never begin to ask, of what value is academic deception? Ultimately, it is of no value. Because once a person is caught, that person is going to regret his or her life in terms of what will be the sufferings. How can all of this be addressed? We can address them in different ways. For some of us that are at leadership position, there can be institutional policy. For instance, now many Nigerian universities don't even have a institutional policy on the AI now. And it took several years before we adopted even the policy on plagiarism. Because you could just find out that somebody will turn in a PhD thesis or master's dissertation, and almost about 70 or 80% of the whole thing will be plagiarized. We should also be looking at sound mentoring, which is part of what you are trying to do. Those that have walked the road, the path in the past, can actually guide those that are coming behind. Self-determination of an individual that you want to pursue integrity, no matter what. And you have to be dedicated, be focused. You set your goals early. What do you want to become? What do you want to do? What is going to be your target? And you'll be moving towards it. Of course, you should know that nobody can do it, can do everything. So you have to be modest in the kind of a target that you put before yourself, and you engage in teamwork. I can assure you that when you talk of a teamwork, especially when you are very, very productive within a teamwork, you can leverage on all of this to solve all the problems that we have mentioned. Most importantly, we should know that a failure is a part of the experiences that a man must have. And so it's not a death sentence. When you fail, you have just known at least one of the ways not to do certain things. And of course, all of us will have to be vigilant so that we are not lured into deception. Because you have some people there, they will be telling you that, no, this thing is very easy to do, is this and things like that. Once they gain your confidence, they lure you into all these sharp malpractices. Now, looking at situating the imposter syndrome in academics, as we have said, it's a constant feeling of a self-doubt. and inadequacy, despite the fact that you are competent. You can imagine, I've seen people having first class, people having first class, not able to complete a PhD. I know, not even one, not even two. And when they come to classes, some of them, at least one of them was our teacher in another faculty in my university before he retired. He would not even come to class with anything, but he was unable. So all these are predicated on the following factors. It may be lack of confidence. And you may think this is a child's play. I've seen several of my graduate students that will tell me that when I force them to talk, they will tell me that they have never talked before audience before. I mean, officially, making an official presentation. So it has been my practice that before any of my graduate students will go and present at any level, that person must first present before me. And in some cases, I could recollect about 3 weeks ago, I did that for 2 of my PhD students. I spent 5 hours correcting them on the presentation. So I had to build confidence in them. It may be new environment, particularly for those of us that were outside the country. And the new environment may give you there are so many challenges with it. It may be in terms of a language barrier. It may be some other issues. It may be your work schedule. And you have some people that ordinarily, their own mentality is that they believe that everything is by luck. You know, if you tell some people now that it's easy for you to do your PhD, even in this country within 3 or 4 years, they say, no. If you now mention something, that person was lucky. When you have that kind of mentality, it is an invitation to imposter syndrome. Because before you know it, even what you achieved on your own, based on excellence, based on competence, you even believe that it was by luck. Lack of mentorship, I've mentioned that earlier on. Also, along with a belief in luck, is that some people also believe in external influences, that they cannot achieve anything on their own, except somebody somewhere intervenes. It may be insecurity, inferiority complex. It may be fear for competition. You have some people, you can submit your journal to this. Once they hear the name of the journal, they say, Elsevier, Springer, no. Whereas when you go there, when you go to those publications platform, you will see even papers that are inferior to what they have. I could recollect a time when one of my colleagues is a professor now. He was our student before. And he just asked me to write a recommendation for him. And I told him to send me his CV. And when I saw the CV, without going through, just looking at the CV, the title of some of the articles, I just told the guy, I said, you are just wasting your time. In these places where you are publishing all these papers, there won't be value for all these papers that you are publishing here, because all these journals, as I'm looking at their names, they are predatory journals. And lo and behold, he was shocked that probably I will not write the recommendation for him. I wrote the recommendation, he got what he wanted, but I told him, I derailed him towards a particular direction. And I gave him, I think that day I gave him about names of 4 journals. And before 2 years, he has published in all the journals. And today, he's a top flyer in our department, to the extent that departmental review board, faculty review panel have given him, at various times, they gave him letter of commendation on his publications. So we should not have a fear to compete. Recalcitrant is there. These are natural, or let me say, these are attitudes in some of us. You have some of us that are so recalcitrant. Your supervisor tells you to do something, you are doing another thing. Definitely, it will end up in bullying you. And we have seen some of that, a lot of that in our graduate students. You have somebody to go and use a particular method, he or she goes behind and begin to use another method. And unfortunately, did not get results, the expected result. So we should also know that as a graduate student, even as a scientist, if you are not following the laid down procedure in a particular studies, except you have a new grants, solid grants to support your new methodology, nobody's going to accept that from you. And when you have all of this, they can lead to so many other things. The problem may also be gender stereotyping, that you are a female, you have a female in mechanical engineering, you now say, how do I survive in mechanical engineering? For those of us that are from this part of the world, it may be ethno-religious profiling. Is he a Muslim? Some people will tell you that you are too brilliant to be a Muslim. These are some of the things that have been said to some of us. And when you see a Fulani man or an Hausa man, you believe that, what do they know? Some of us also believe in superstition. I'm sorry to say. I'm not saying that it does not exist. But when it's to the extreme, it can hold you down. I have somebody that you have been mentoring on a PhD and is unable to make a progress with the PhD. And when you sit him down and things like that, he's going to be saying, it's because of this. Somebody is after me. Somebody is, well, when you hold that kind of opinion, one is already in bondage of imposter syndrome. It can also be socioeconomic issues, which are also applicable for us from this part of the world. Probably you are not employed, you have not gotten married, and all of this and all of this. These are some of the things that can contribute to imposter syndrome, aside the requirements of being in academics. So what are the consequences of imposter syndrome? The consequences are over there. Burnout. You may want to just to prove to people that you know it, you can do it. You begin to do more than what is expected. And you can easily suffer burnout, stress, there'll be anxiety, and all of this can, where you believe that, this thing that I'm doing, I'm not doing in the proper way. You have some people that it will take them donkey years to write
I think Prof is out of the meeting. It's probably his network.
Yeah, something like that. Because he made mention of that before the commencement of the webinar. He said maybe he's trying to sort that again. So
Okay.
apologies for the break in network. So please let's just give him like some seconds or minutes. Let me check if it's in the group. He's going to join as well. Maybe has it. Or someone can reach out to him on WhatsApp. So we are sorry for that. So while waiting for him, please, because we are almost moving towards the end of the day. Okay, we still have some time, but we can be preparing our question so that before we completed the discussion, so we can have the question in the chat box and we can easily send to him so that he can do the justice to the question before we call it a day. Yeah, thank you so much, and we apologize.
Sorry.
Okay, he's back. All right, thank you, sir. We can hear you now, sir. Hello,
Okay.
Prof.
I'm going to
All right.
I'm going to hasten it now. Okay. So can you see my slide, please?
Yes, very well, sir.
So, and at the most extreme end, it can lead to dropout. And we have seen that. It can lead to withdrawal, depression, and all of that. And it can also lead to suicidal thoughts. Because when you believe that you are a complete failure, and we must have heard of so many students like that committing suicide, particularly those on their PhD program outside this country. So as an individual, we should refrain from all these issues: ghostwriting, data manipulation, plagiarism, and all of that. And I must tell you, we have also suffered from all this syndrome one way or the other. But as an individual, one has chosen to stick with what one believes in, and ethos of academics, and also teamwork, and being resilient. So, dealing with imposter syndrome, I've mentioned some of these things in passing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let us treat everybody as equal. And as an individual, you have to develop certain resilience. Then we must celebrate our little successes here and there. When you do something, you achieve something, celebrate it. You have a publication, celebrate it. You are able to do one thing, celebrate it. It may be comments of people that will encourage you. And when you make a mistake, please take it with optimism. So, and you try to avoid the negative thoughts. We should engage in open discussion. Work as a team. Discuss your issues with the people. Peradventure, what you think is unsolvable, somebody may have the solution at his or her fingertips. We should also attend inspirational lectures, public lectures, inaugural lectures. When you hear of how some people started and becoming what they are, there's no way you will not be encouraged and you won't condemn yourself. You may even discover that you are better off than some of them, some of those people. So and also if there's a need for counseling, you please seek counseling, and you must get out of your cocoon, your comfortable zone. Explore new areas, new lines of knowledge. And for us, I've mentioned all of this. Please let us avoid all of this that can destroy people. And to the extreme of imposter syndrome is Dunning-Kruger effect, where people feel pompous, overconfident, they'll be boasting of what they cannot do. That one also cannot help anybody, particularly in academics. For us, as we apply our trade in academics, we must maintain digital feasibility. Some of these things, one may underplay them. But for me, as a researcher, I know. For example, my Google Scholar, if I don't check my Google Scholar in a day, I will check it about 5, 8, 10 times. I will also check my Scopus. What am I looking for? Once I check my mail and I see a paper saying that, it gives me joy that, oh, this little thing that we have done here. So it's been appreciated that to the extent that somebody from UK, from whatever, is citing the work. So that's part of it. So we need to maintain digital feasibility. However, we have to be very careful too. And then we can begin to write commentaries, opinions on what you have done. You can grant interviews, engage in community service, and for God's sake, you have to digitalize your activities. Whatever you are doing, let it be known to people. So I will conclude by saying, if you look at our potentials and we are aware of those potentials and we have built confidence over time, then we can attain excellence. We will have set our targets and the competence is there and we can move to excellence. And by doing so, we can ward off imposter syndrome. I will not condemn ourselves as if we have not done anything to benefit humanity. So on this note, I want to thank the organizers for the invitation they extended to me to make this presentation. And I want to apologize for the disruption that we have. That's part of what can cause imposter syndrome. You want to do this, there's no internet connectivity, there's no light, there's no, particularly for us in Nigeria. But we just say, okay, we can't fold our arms. We cannot fold our arms. We also have to make contributions as the world moves on. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. Jazakumullah khairan. We really appreciate your time. Please, everyone, please let's use one of our best emoji to appreciate Prof. He has done more than that. He has done justice to this lecture within a short period of time. Yorùbá sọ pé ṣókí love you oge kó dùn púpọ̀. In fact, he has done excellent to this topic. Really appreciate your time and everything. We say Jazakallah khairan to you. May Almighty Allah continue to increase. Thank you so much, sir. So please, at this juncture, if you have any question, we can. Sorry. So if you have any question, please, we can. Please, if you have any question, we can signify by raising our hands, or we can drop it in the chat box. Thank you so much. So I'll keep my eyes in the chat box. All right. So while waiting for question and answer, Prof, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Thank you so much. So please, let me just start with my question. I would like to know, can parental factors like influence or trigger this imposter syndrome? Because I don't know. I'm just like
Well,
hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, very well, sir.
Yes, it can. It can, though I'm not a sociologist or psychologist. But we know that from all what I've said, it can, because the building of a confidence in the children is very, very important. So we should be able to encourage them to have a confidence. We should be able to correct them in a constructive manner. They should not be scared. And the little celebrations, little achievement that they have, we should also motivate them on that. So it can be. It can be.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So if you have any question, you can signify by raising your hand, or you can put it in the chat box. I'm going to read that out so that we can work on it very fast before the end of today's lecture. I think we still have like 10-15 minutes now. I can see our brother from LAUTECH. Thank you so much for honoring Prof. We appreciate your time. And also, okay. Hey, brother.
Okay, so I can see a question here from Awao Abdul Kadri. So my question is being that you are a young lecturer and early researcher in the school where you got your BSc. How do you not feel oppressed or intimidated from your? But these are the interesting question. And can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Yes.
It's an interesting question. And in fact, somebody asked me this question when I was I was the first alumni of the department to be head of the department, a full head of department. So, and this NUC accreditation team came around for our accreditation, and they saw how all my organs were running up and down. When I told them that I accredited, so the leader of the team said, "Look, how are you managing all this your organ? Because it's not easy." So I said, well, they are my organs, and they won't want their boys to fail now. So one thing was that among them, well, I must tell you the truth. We knew that there were camps, but we did not join any camp. So I tried my best to be friend to everybody. Even those that I know that they have issues with my organ. I will not join anybody in any battle. So I was loyal to my organ. And if any other person asks me to do one or two things for him or her, I will gladly do it. So as a result of that, I did not have any problem with them. So I think we have to apply wisdom. And in fact, there was a day that my guy even called me and he said, how have you been managing all these, your other organs? I said, it's what you taught us now. I've been open to everybody. I try. And if you want to say that you want to take me as an enemy or whatever, I don't bloody care. So I face my work. In fact, I immerse myself in research, and which is now paying off. So that was how we have been able to weather the storm, at least.
All right, Jazakallah khairan. I think okay, that's good. Thank you so much, sir, for the feedback.
Even when I had a PhD, ahead of some of them, I never allowed it to enter into my brain, to enter into my head. So I will still call them Oga instead of saying Mr. Agbaje.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So humility is part of what we can use to like
Yes, humility.
Okay.
I don't enter into any word that doesn't belong to you.
Okay. Thank you so
Because
much for
you
that.
wouldn't know when they started and what a premise did they start their works. Somebody is asking, I think Dr. Kewu Yemi, could you please advise how can we foster a culture in academia that embraces vulnerability and acknowledges self-doubt as part of the learning process without stigmatizing it? Well, the Nigerian academia, let me talk about from Nigeria perspective. There's still a whole lot of things that we need to incorporate in our curriculum. So, but all of these things are going to come up through our personal development, particularly those of us that we have reached a leadership position. The rate of condemnation have been very high in the past, such that when somebody fails, they believe that it's your fault. whereas there may be some other reasons behind it. So I think one of the first things for us is to be able to identify the red flags and also finding a means of encouraging the students, mentoring them. Even where they have failed, we can still mentor them to move up the ladder. So without necessarily stigmatizing. But I know that this is going to take a lot of time, but we know that we now have some other systems here. For instance, now you now have units that deals with mentoring, unit that calls for innovation among the students, set up competitions among them, and a lot of things like that. So I think with a time, it's going to be a culture that will be enshrined in our academic process. Somebody said, what is your advice for someone that struggled academically throughout his undergraduate and is now in great fear of pursuing graduate school? Seek a good mentor. Seek a good mentor. That's very, very important. If you seek a good mentor and you confide in your mentor what your fears are. Look, I have a student now who is going to defend his PhD in the next couple of days. When he was given to me as a master student, unfortunately, he didn't finish from my department, so I knew nothing about his academic something. And after some interactions, I asked him, are you sure you are going to survive under me? And he said he will try. Okay, I said, okay, let's see what you can do. So I was trying, but the moment I was training him, I saw, exponential improvement in him. So it means that you also, you should be ready to work. If somebody is asking you to do something, you should be ready to work, particularly when you know that this person has a good integrity. And do you know what? From his master's thesis, we published 6 papers in Europe. And as I'm talking now, before he would defend his PhD, we have published everything in the PhD thesis. So we should be able to get a good mentor who's going to direct us. Nobody's going to kill you at a graduate school. You should kill that fear. But a quicker way of killing it is to have a good mentor. If they just discover that you struggle at undergraduate level because of certain things, which may be addressed at a postgraduate. I've talked about a teamwork, for instance, now. I do send my students because I know that so many of them, they have a fear towards us. So once I discover that, if you have something to explain to me and you are not doing it very well, or I want you to learn something and you are not learning at a faster rate, I say, go and meet a so whom I've trained. So by the time he or she comes back, there will have a certain level of improvement and we move up from there. But if you now refuse to, saying that, okay, we are co-students now, maybe it's a PhD student, I'm also a PhD student, then I'm not going to devote all my time listening to you alone because I have so many other things to do. So the willingness to learn is also part of it. Somebody said, can you shed a little more light on the syndrome?
Prof.
At the purpose? Okay.
Sorry, somebody has been raised his hand before, so I just want to give him like a chance to question. So, brother Abdurrahim Mukhtar, please, you have like 1 minute so that we can round up. Are you there, sir?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please make it brief and short, please.
Okay. Firstly, let me appreciate Professor Agbaje for the wonderful presentation. I just want to make a clarification and a brief question. Let me use myself as a case study. For example, I have my PhD from China. The issue is that coming to Nigeria, because I have been working in Nigeria in academia for over 20 years in Nigeria, the perspective of our people in Nigeria look strange and so discouraging. Let me use the word. In one of my places of work, after my PhD in China, came back to Nigeria in my department. So we're having some discussion. The first comment that is that, oh, because you are now having your PhD outside Nigeria, so you mean we in Nigeria don't know anything? Trying to modify them, maybe we're having a general discussion. But the fact is that the syndrome from the departments or from the colleagues previously killed the potentiality of what you are bringing out to express to them. For example, we are discussing sometimes about publication in S journal, publication in essay. They say, oh, no. We don't need it for publication here. What we do is what we do. In some university in Nigeria, they believe that you cannot, when you're having author, maybe 5 author, more than 5 author, the paper being useless. Why outside the world? Outside Nigeria,
okay, my brother, don't worry. I've gotten your question. I've gotten your question so that we don't waste time. You see, that syndrome, nobody is going to kill the syndrome except you and I. So we don't run away from it. Let me tell you my experience. I started working in nanotechnology in year 2014. After I became a professor, I became a professor in 2013. And when I started the work, if you know what I faced, in the department that I headed earlier on, I was on secondment to that department, that is SLT. The student that I was supervising before I left as the head of department, my students were ridiculed during their presentation. That what did they do about nano? As at that particular time, in fact, when they came back, I said I will not follow them to their department again. That at least they did the work. So my secretary, the departmental secretary, had to plead with me that I should follow them. I must tell you that very day, I had just only one paper published on nanotechnology. And I went there to defend the student. This same set of people moved a little bit higher. They reported me to the vice chancellor of the university. Can you imagine that? Which he told me one-on-one with witnesses that some of your guys have just left here. They said you are a professor of microbiology. What are you doing in nano? And things like that. To the glory of God, I have more than 100 publications in nanotechnology as of today. And if you go and look at my Google Scholar, you will see the contribution of nanotechnology to my citations. I am what I am. I do not represent anybody. Today, since 2020, I've been listed as a top 2% scientist all over the world. And I've received the vice chancellor, the same office that I was reported to. I've received the vice chancellor's outstanding award at convocation ceremony for 4 years, for 4 consecutive years now. So my brother, it is about you. Will anybody kill you if you conduct your studies and you go and publish? As far as I know in the university, there's no offense like that. You don't listen to what they are saying because they want to bring you down to their level. And once you listen to them, they have won. I published my first paper that I will publish outside this country was in Netherlands. I was just moving from assistant lecturer to lecturer 2. So just like I said earlier on, you just have to lay the path that you want to follow. In those periods when we were doing it, there was no metrics, as I said earlier on. I just went to IIT and I saw some at Ibadan, and I saw some papers and I said, what they are publishing here is what I can do. And I started designing the experiment and I sent my papers there. So please don't let us look at those negativity. There are so many there. I was even showing it to my wife yesterday. An emeritus professor that has less than 250 citations, awarded by a university in Nigeria. So what warrants that emeritus? No, what warrants it for a career of over 40 years? But if you want to listen to that kind of people, it means that you don't have anything to do. So I need to be frank with ourselves. It's what we have also passed through. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sodi.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Okay. So I don't know what happened to my phone before. So please, the other question,
Okay, what's the other question, please?
check the chat box.
Okay, somebody is talking about the opposite end of imposter syndrome. That is feeling pompous, you know. Of course, Islam does not encourage us to be doing that. We should not believe that we are all in all. So what you have is what you give. What you don't have, don't say that you have it. That is deception. You are going towards a deception, and that will scare away people from you. And once that is detected in somebody, there will also be loss of integrity. So we have to maintain middle course. And the middle course is that this is what we can do, and this is what we have done, and you celebrate what you have done. Knowing fully that nobody can do it all.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you very much for your time, for the food of thought, for the support, the enlightenment, the insightful discussion. We really appreciate your time. I'll pray to Almighty Allah to continue increasing your knowledge and assist you in your endeavors, inshallah rahman, inshallah. So at this junction, we are going to call it a day. So join us next month for another insightful discussion. Please, this is the type of this thing you can send to your mentees as well. They can join the group. Mira is open to everybody as well as you are Muslim. So thank you so much, everyone.
Okay.
And let's parents to our professor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, thank you, sir.
So good night, everyone.
All right, good night. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, bye.
Jazakumullah khairan, sir. We are grateful, sir.
You are welcome. You are welcome, my brother.
Thank you very much, sir, Professor Adinu.
You are welcome. You are welcome, Maja. You are welcome.
Good afternoon, Professor. Good evening, Professor Adinu.
Good evening, sir. Good morning, China.
Prof, thanks for the connection.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate it and we enjoyed it, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes,
Lateef, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Ẹ kú ọjọ́ mẹ́ta o.
Ọjọ́ kan pẹ̀lú family ńkọ́ sà.
Family ńkọ́ o.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, for this enlightening talk. I'm going to have to play it over for my kids. Allah reward you abundantly, sir.
You too. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ o. Okay. Yes.
Wa alaikum
salam wa barakatuh.
All right, so we can, I think Dr. Zainab, you can